In today's video, we are going to be looking at the importance of lighting inside Daz Studio and why lighting should be your #1 priority inside Daz Studio. And we're going to start doing that right now. Hi, I'm Palmy. Welcome back to my channel where I help you to master Daz Studio. Now, if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you don't miss out on any cool videos that are going to help you on your journey. Having said that, let's get back to the tutorial right now. Welcome to this tutorial about the importance of lighting in Daz Studio. Now, I know I harp on about this again and again, but it is such a critical aspect of Daz Studio. I think it's very much overlooked, and a lot of people just kind of use HDRIs to kind of create this wonderful, wonderful scenes with wonderful flat lighting, I like to call it, because there's flat lighting right here. And it's not the best way. What you really need to do to really get the most out of Daz Studio is you need to start using spotlights, point lights, and really using them together to create a scene that is gonna, it's gonna get people's attention. At the moment, this scene here is not getting anyone's attention. If somebody was scrolling on Instagram or looking on DeviantArt or whatever, they're gonna look right past this because basically it's rubbish. And I know it's rubbish because this is the actual first render that I created. That's right, the first render I created in December 2018. So you can see my beginner progress here. So what I'm going to do basically in this tutorial is go through some lighting and how my kind of workflow would be now that I've actually learned a few things about lighting over the past year or so. So let's see how we can improve this render right here. So currently I'm in iRay preview mode. And the first mistake I made is my character is not even on the ground. You can see the feet is not even on the ground. Absolutely poor whatsoever. So really, really bad there. Obviously, as a beginner, you don't know what you're doing. You're kind of just trying the best you can, which is okay, no problem. The whole point is to improve. And as you improve, you can look back at your renders and go, what was I thinking? Oh my God. Right. So this character here is a normal Genesis 8 female, the one you get. So all the props in here and everything in here is everything you would get if you installed Daz Studio out of the box. So these are nothing that you need to download in terms of buy or anything. So everything is already here. So second of all, this pose, I'm not too sure what's going on with this pose here. So I've got this pose here. I don't know what I'm doing with this pose. No idea. So obviously I just picked a pose and I applied it and I thought, wow, great, awesome. I've got a character to do a pose. I didn't have to mess around with the posing. I didn't know anything about posing then as well. Okay, so the third thing here I'm using is the perspective view, which is a big no-no as your main camera. Why? Because the perspective view, you cannot control anything with the perspective view. You can't, with a camera, you can control everything in terms of where, how the lighting is, in terms of what happens with perspective view. The headlamp is always on. So this here is the headlamp with the headlamp on, and you don't want that. You don't want headlamp as your light because it's the worst lighting ever. It's just flat lighting. It doesn't do anything to add to your scene in terms of lighting. So perspective view, it does not give you control. I didn't know anything about that, so we're going to recorrect that as well. So the main thing we're going to do in this tutorial actually is just look at lighting only. I'm not going to mess around with the pose or anything. I'm going to show you the difference lighting makes. And as we're going through, I'll try and explain my process and what I'm trying to do. So the first thing I want to do is get rid of this perspective view. I want a camera, so I want to go to create, new camera, where are we? Over here, and copy the active view. So what's that going to do? It's going to copy the position the perspective view is and place my new camera in that position. So I'm going to do accept. And I'm going to go to my camera here. There we go. Now you can see it's all like grainy here. Now the reason why it's grainy is if I go to my render settings here and go to, I'm just going to think where it is. I believe it's optimized. No, it's not optimized. Progressive rendering. Here it is. This one here. Max samples. I want that high, 15,000. Okay. So there. And then to get rid of the graininess, I need to go to, I think it's filtering. Yep. And it's the post denoiser. I want it on. And I want the post denoiser alpha on as well. And that's going to smooth things out. The post denoiser enable, I want that on as well. And there we go. So that's going to smooth things out. So when I render it, it's going to be, it won't have much grain on it. It'll be pretty smooth the way it should be. So as you can see in my iRay preview mode now, it'll be smooth as well. So this is how it will look when I press the render button. So now our settings are done with that. I'm not going to touch these settings now. These render settings, and these are the actual render settings that I use. So in terms of filtering, that's all I tick on here. And when I go to progressive rendering, that's all I have max sample. So nothing magical. I know some people change the rendering convergence ratio and put it to 100% and rendering quality. There's no need for that in this tutorial because we're actually focusing on lighting. So let's actually get to the nitty gritty of it and let's do some lighting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my environment here and I'm going to get rid of, as you can see, the lighting is actually the environment map which is the default environment map that comes with Daz Studio. So the problem with this is that the lighting is very flat. There's nothing exciting or anything happening about in our scene. So generally, obviously, if we're having females in our scene, we want soft lighting, which we do have soft lighting, but it's flat. There's nothing exciting about it. Exciting about our scene, like I said earlier. So what I'm going to do is turn that off. I'm going to go to environment mode. I'm going to turn scene only. I'm going to have pitch black. Why is it not pitch black? Good question. Let's go have a look at the camera. I believe the headlamp is on. That's why. So the headlamp, camera settings, parameters, headlamp, and I got to turn that off. There we go, pitch black. Okay, so I've turned the headlamp off in my camera settings here, and it's all pitch black. So I need to come out of here and go into texture shading mode. I'm going to do Control and L, which gives us the preview lights. So this is like a temporarily the preview lights are on, which so you can see everything in the dark. So I'm not basically falling in the dark while doing my spotlight. So let's get a spotlight in. So the first thing I want to do, actually what I'm going to do is get my perspective view. I'm going to leave my camera where it is. I'm not going to move my camera whatsoever. And normally I would move my camera, but because we're focused solely on lighting, I just want to show you the importance of lighting. So let me go to my perspective view, and I'm going to have a look at my scene. So I'm going to zoom out a bit and see what do we got. How can I use my scene to be effective for my lighting? So what can I do using my scene, the props in there, to kind of make the best of what I've got for my lighting? So I like this bit here at the top here, these kind of gaps here. So maybe I have a light coming from here at the top to create some really cool shadows. So let's try that. So create new spotlight and put it where this is where it's going to position it. So it's going to position it where the perspective is, where I am right now. So what happens is it makes it easier to find your spotlight. So I can just go here, the spotlight's already there. Okay, so here you have the kind of middle section where the most of the light will be concentrated, and then you have the outer section here where less of the light is concentrated. Okay, so I'm going to try and position it. Now positioning may change, and the actual lighting will change as we progress through this tutorial. So I kind of want it from the... What I've always said before is you need to have the light coming from above. And if it's coming from above, it's either coming from the side or behind, okay, or from the front, but it's always coming from above because that's where light naturally comes from. Sunlight comes from above. Light in your house from your light bulbs always comes from above, so you're going to have it from above. Unless you're doing some sort of a horror scene, then you're going to have it from below, if that makes sense. So let's just put this in a position. I want it here somewhere. I want like backlight really. So what I mean by backlight, I want the light to come on her back here. So I might need to move across here and try and get it there. Okay, so let's go to my light settings here. Now what I want to do is I want to decrease the spread angle because I want to focus all the light here. So here my spread angle, I'm going to decrease it, and you can see it's kind of zooming in. Okay, I want it kind of like there. I might move that up a bit. So let's see how that looks. So I'm going to go back to my camera here. I'm going to go back to my area preview mode. We're probably not going to see much because the light power, I haven't changed anything, nor have I changed the light geometry, which I need to do now, but I just want to see what it's going to look like. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is my light geometry. I want rectangle or disc. Now it doesn't matter what you choose. So rectangle because I want soft light. Okay, I'm going to leave it at 1010 as the default kind of size of the rectangle and see what happens. So luminous flux, let's increase the lighting. Let's add a couple of zeros onto that. Let's see how that looks. Okay, so it looks like I need a bit more lighting, so I'm going to add another 0 on the end of this. There we go. So I've got my backlight now. So this is my backlight. Now I need to reposition this backlight. So let me go back to texture shading. Let me go back to my spotlight. I'm getting too much on this side here, so I want to kind of bring it across here and at an angle if I can. So there we go. Kind of want it on her hair really. I want to get that kind of really cool backlight on her hair. Let's try this. So what's happening is because I am, let me get to my perspective view so I can show you. So what's happening is I'm kind of using this kind of wooden section to block some of the light. So what's happening is the light's coming through, it's going to hit that section and it's not going to go through and hit her. This obviously here will go through the light and hit her here. So let me just redraw that. So this light will go through here. This light here will not, it will just hit that. So I'm kind of using like a blocking technique. So that's something you can use when you're looking around your scene. You want some of the light to fall in a specific area, but you don't want all of it. You can use like a blocker, so to speak, to kind of block the light. So that's a bit of an advanced technique, which we can discuss later on, but that's just because the props here, and this is what it's allowed me to do. So let's go back to my camera. Let me check the iRay preview mode. Let's see how this looks. Let's give it a second to kick in. Cool, I've got my lovely kind of backlight on my hair, exactly what I wanted. Now I'm going to decrease the power. I might actually increase the rectangle geometry here. So I'm going to have something like 30 centimeters. Now these are just general numbers I normally put in. And as you can see now, we've got less softer light here at the bottom and really sharp here at the top. I don't want too sharp, so I can use the intensity now. And I can decrease that. So probably let's try 50%. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, that looks okay for now. So I'm going to leave that for now. I'm happy with that. So I've got my backlight on the hair, which looks really cool. So that's done. Happy with that. So what else can I do? So let me have a look around my scene with the perspective view. Let's have a look. So probably now I want to light her body. Now it's going to be from the side. So let me just have a look at the scene again. Let's see. She's got like a horrified look on her face, sort of. So probably I might want the light coming here from the left, I think. We'll try that. So let's try that, the light from the left. So I'm trying to get some sort of like scary scene going or something like that. So let's get a light from the left. Create new spotlight. And I want to apply the wherever the perspective view is, so that position, so it's easy for me to find it. And I'm going to go to Spotlight and Spotlight 2. So let's see if we can do this now. This one's going to be a bit tricky because I can't go all the way up. I could go all the way up actually, probably from here. Let's see, because I want it from up, but I want it from the side actually. So I want it from here somewhere. Let's try this, see if this works. It may work, it may not, but that's the whole point of practicing. Practicing your technique and practicing what you can do. So let me see if I can get this. And again, I'm going to get the spread angle. I'm going to decrease it a bit because I want it to only hit this section here. So the majority of the power will be here in the middle, remember, and you will have less on the outside. So I probably want to move that up a bit actually. So let me just probably want it on the face, probably around about here. Cool. Okay, so let's go back to my main camera. Let us do the iRay preview. So this is kind of like my workflow, which is what I will generally do. Let's see what that looks like. So just waiting for iRay preview to kick in. And I want to change the light geometry again rectangle. And I'm going to increase the luminous flux. So let me add 1 0 to that and see what that does. That looks kind of good. I'm going to add another 0 actually, because that's not enough for me. Excellent. Okay, so that looks good. I'm going to add, I want the light to be more softer, so I'm going to try 50 this time. What does that do, 50? Give me softer lighting. Alright, we got a really cool shadow here. Love that shadow there. Excellent. And it's a soft shadow as well because I did the diameter here. So if I increase this to say 100, just to show you look how soft this shadow is going to get. So you can see how soft it's gone, kind of like blurry. That's what I mean by softness. It gets like blurry. And what happens is when you increase the diameter of this like really crazy proportions like this 100, the light intensity goes down. Okay. So what I'm going to need to do is increase the intensity. I'm going to use the intensity here to increase it. So I'm going to try 125, see what that looks like. Let's try 150. Okay, and I think I want the direction of the light, not the direction, sorry. I want it to be higher on a face so we can see a bit of a face. So I'm going to go back to my Spotlight 2. I just need to come out of iRay preview mode. And I'm going to bring that up actually. So which one is it? There it is. And I'll bring it up a bit more. So I want the majority of it to be kind of here. Probably something like that. Let's see what that looks like. So again, iRay preview mode. So I've only used 2 lights at the moment. Nothing fancy. And let's see what that looks like. So just waiting for the IRA preview mode to kick in here. And there we go. So we got a bit more. Okay, so what's happened is I've lost a bit of my backlight here. So I've lost a bit of my backlight here because this is too intense. So I need to decrease that lighting. Let's try 125. Okay, let's try 100. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to 125. As you can see, real time here, I'm trying to do something here. My workflow here. I'm trying to go with the flow, so to speak. So 125. Actually, I want that 150. I like that. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to increase the backlight. So spotlight 1, which was the backlight, I'm going to really hit that to 100. Let the 100 intensity. There we go. Okay, so you can see radically different the image looks now. The render will look compared to what it was before. So much more interesting just by adding 2 lights. And I haven't done anything that you can't do really. It's just the positioning of the lights where you need to work out, and using these advanced features like spread angle, in terms of geometry, in terms of your the size of geometry, what the width and height should be, and how much power you have to use. That is something that you will figure out as you practice more and more. Okay, so that's excellent. I like the way that looks because we've got some definition here as well. So if I go, just click here, we can see some definition here. You know, we got some light and shadow going on here. We got light and shadow going on as well. It's really good here. So that's really good. The next thing I would probably do is I want to change the tone mapping. So render settings, tone mapping. And what I generally use white point. And if I want to make the scene more colder, a bit more like to fit the scene, the atmosphere, I would choose colors here. So these orangey, yellowy type colors, it's going to give me like a colder tone to the actual scene. So something like here, let's have a look. You'll see immediately the lighting's changed and it's got like a colder tone. Okay, if I did the opposite here, a bluer color, kind of here, you would see that it would be more warmer color. So here, warmer color. Okay, so if you wanted like to simulate sunlight or something, you could do. In this case, I think the colder color is better. So what I'm going to do is just undo that. The colder color is better because that's what I want to portray in my scene. Now you're probably thinking, hey, this is a bit too dark, isn't it? The lighting and everything. Well, if I didn't want to mess around with each individual spotlight, what I could do is go to my tone mapping, my film ISO, and I can increase the overall lighting of both lights, of spotlight 1 and spotlight 2, just by increasing the film ISO. So if I change it to 150 here, watch the intensity of the light increase for both of them. Just add that on. And there we go. The intensity has increased for both of them. So I don't need to go to each individual spotlight here. Once I'm kind of happy with my settings of my spotlight, I can use the film ISO to increase the lighting. So maybe say 150 is too much. Okay, you can go 125, or you can go to 115 or 110, whatever you want to do. You have control that way as well. If you don't want to keep going into each individual light and changing these luminous settings for each light. So that's another way you can do your lighting. Okay, with this render, I would be pretty happy to render this and put it into Photoshop and then add my final touches. So in terms of this is great. What I could do is I could possibly add another light from the side as backlight. You know what? We'll do that right now because I want to give you value for money. I want to show you value for money. I want to give you value in this tutorial and really give you as much information that you can act on and really use in your renders ASAP and gain some amazing renders right now. You know, really push your renders. So let's go to texture shading mode. Let me add another spotlight. Let me just position my perspective view. So what I want to do is I want to put the spotlight roughly the same position. So actually I might have it somewhere around, yeah, somewhere around here is fine. It doesn't need to be, and we could kind of use this to block out some of the light, which is a great idea. So again, create new spotlight, and where my my perspective view is, sorry, I'm just gonna put it there so I know where it is. So spotlight 3, here we go. So it was a bit dark here on this side. I want to light it, but I don't want to light it here. So what I'm going to do, again, spread angle. I want to decrease that spread angle because I want to focus on a particular area of my scene. So I'm going to bring that up, and that might be okay. Yeah, let's try that. So let's go back to my camera. Let's go to the NVIDIA iRay preview mode, put it on, wait for that to kick in. So just give it a second. Cool. Okay, so again, I want to change. I don't want point lights because point lights give you very harsh lighting, and in this case we don't want harsh lighting. And point lights, you can't control the geometry of the point light. It's just basically a light that is you don't have any control over, and that's not what we want. That's why we choose rectangle or disc. Very rarely use sphere or cylinder. They're not very useful in terms of using the geometry for spotlights. So I've got my rectangle. I'll choose disc. I'll show you the difference with disc. There's not much difference really. I'll choose disc just to show you the difference. And the luminous flux. So let's add a couple of zeros to that. Let me add 1 0. See what that does. So now you can see some lighting here. I've got some lovely lighting here to kind of give you that kind of side lighting that we talk about. And then I'm going to add another 0 here. Sorry, not there. I'm going to add another 0 here. What does that do now? Okay, so there we go. So we've basically created like a fill light. I want to just create some side lighting here. So you can see like there's a hot spot here. That's not too bad. I can deal with that. Sometimes you don't want hot spots. So in this case, I would just I could actually increase the diameter here. So let's put it up to 50. That will decrease the hot spot. So you can see that's another way of decreasing that hot spot here on the hand. I've increased the diameter here, and that's made that very soft. Okay, it's still there, the hot spot, but not as hot, shall we say? Not as bright as it once was. Okay, and now we've got the problem here of two shadows. You can see we've got shadow here, shadow there. What we can do is I would probably, to match that shadow here, I would probably increase that to 100, just to match that shadow there as much as it can. And then obviously I can increase the intensity to get that side lighting a bit more bigger. So 150, and let's go 200. There we go. Max is 200 on the intensity. You can increase the intensity if you want to. You can always go to the parameter settings and unlock it, and you unlock the limits if you want to. That's not a problem. And that looks pretty good. So that looks pretty good to me. I've got some nice lighting here, the side light here. Probably needs to be a bit more intense. Maybe move the camera, the spotlight a bit more to position it. But that is a pretty good start. So there you go. You can see the difference we've made already just by using some cameras. Obviously, what I would do is go into Photoshop and probably only have one of these shadows and kind of like use masking to get rid of these shadows. But that's a tutorial for another time. So you can see we've only used 3 lights, and the way we've changed the way the image looks dramatically, may I add. And this is by using nothing else but the spotlights that are already inside DAZSTUDIO, and the props that are already inside DAZSTUDIO. I haven't done anything magical. It's everything that's already inside DAZSTUDIO. So take this information. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to do one more, which is a portrait one. I want to show you portraits. But instead of using spotlights, we're going to use point lights and show you the difference using that. Okay, so here is our second example of a portrait, my first portrait that I tried to create back in the day. And so let's see how we can improve this. So let's go to the render settings and environment to see what lighting we're currently using. And for this one, again, I am using the environment map as my main lighting source. There are no other lights here. As you can see in the scene tab, there's absolutely nothing there. And essentially, this is the correct lighting, so to speak, in terms of females. They like soft lighting, and I'm doing the correct thing here, soft lighting. However, my intention with this character was to be a bit more mysterious, and because I didn't have the knowledge to where to place spotlights, where to place point lights, so I just did like a basic environment map and have very soft lighting and very flat lighting, so to speak. There's nothing here that makes the render look very interesting. So let's resolve this issue right now. So again, we're going to go to the environment mode here and do scene only, just to show you the impact that lights have in a scene just by itself. And I need to come out of here so we can see. Go to texture shaded. Cool. So let's add our first spotlight. Our first point light. Create new point light. And I'm going to apply the active viewport transform. So basically, it's going to put it where the camera is right now. And then all I need to do is do Z translate negative. There we go. There's our actual point light. So where I want this point light, the really good thing about this, it shows you what's going to happen with the point light. So I can see as I start moving it up where roughly how the light is going to appear on my character. So I can see as I move it back and forth what's exactly going to be highlighted for my character. Where is the light going to be? So this is a great way to see where the light's going to fall in your character before you actually implement the IRA mode and start playing around with the different settings. So you get a rough idea where it's going to look like, what it's going to look like rather. So let me just, so what I want this my side light. So I want it to the right or left. I'm going to do it to the right. So my X translate to the right. And I want to get some sort of lighting right about here. Okay, let me just Z translate this as well. A bit more X translate, there we go. Let's do the IRA preview mode. Wait for that to kick in. And as it's doing that, I'm going to go to my parameters and click on my light here. Settings. Cool. So for my light geometry, again, I don't want point because I can't control the intensity or the softness of it using point. And generally when you're using point light, you use sphere as your preferred geometry. You can try rectangle and disc, but the preferred geometry is sphere. Okay, and I'm going to leave it as 1010 for now. I want to increase the luminance, so let's increase the power. Set a couple of zeros on that. Cool. Okay. So that looks pretty good. And again, intensity, I'm going to just decrease that a bit. So I can do it from using intensity. So let's try 75. Just bring that down a bit. I could also decrease the intensity or make the light more softer by increasing the diameter. So let's try 20 and 20 for the width. Oops, 20 for the width as well. You can see now what's happened is because it's in our scene now, it's bigger. I need to move it out of the actual camera area because it's gotten bigger. This ball of light. I don't want this ball of light in my actual scene. It will actually render the light there. I don't want that. So I want to move that across a bit more and probably raise it up a bit. There we go. Let's see, increase the intensity. So let's actually put that up to 125 now. Because I've moved it away, I need to increase the intensity. Okay, that looks kind of cool. I like that. So I'm going for like a mysterious look, so probably something like, I don't really want to show all the face here, probably a bit of a side lighting so to speak, something like that. Again, it's been moved into position, I need to move it across just to get that out of position. A bit more, there we go. Okay, and then I can go back to my light and start increasing the intensity. So actually I might do 150 now because I want it to be brighter. 200. Alright, I'm going to leave that at 150 actually. Okay, so now I'm going to create another point light and we're going to put the lighting on the left hand side because obviously we need to fill in the lighting. We can't see any features of her face. So we need to get that. Otherwise it looks very weird if I had this render and everyone's looking at it, you can't see. There's nothing for our eyes to focus on. Our brain is going to have to interpret this, and at the moment it's not interpreting much. So create new point light. Again, active viewport transform. I'm going to have it here so I know where it is. I'm just going to come out of texture. I'm going to come into texture shading mode just to make the movement of the light quicker. So let's bring that here. And again, I want to bring it across. And let's bring it up because remember all lights come from up above unless you are doing some sort of horror scene, then that makes sense. Bring that up now. Probably, actually I might just do it here on the side. Let's see how that looks. Cool, let's go to our light while it's doing the preview here. Just wait for that to kick in. And now let's again go to sphere as our main geometry. And let us put our lumens, our power ups, so a couple of zeros on that. Right, so we can get a kind of effect of what we're trying to get. I need actual light on her face. So what I'm going to do is let's bring this out, Z translate in front here. And that will do. Actually, I don't want too much there. So as you can see, the problem with with point lights is you can't really control where it's going to land. So for example, with spotlights, we can use the spread angle to kind of focus that area where we want to have the most lighting. And that way, by focusing it, we can control where it actually hits our figure or on the scene. With point lights, we don't get that. We don't get that amount of control. And that is the only kind of issue with point lights. However, point lights are very useful in terms like we're using right now. So this is kind of cool. We got a bit of catch light here as well. I like that catch light, bit of catch light there as well. And what I'm going to do now, again, I'm going to go to my tone mapping, and I'm going to increase the brightness by 150 from our film ISO. Right, I don't like this extra light here that we're getting on the hair. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually bring this up. And now I'm going to bring it out a bit. There we go. That looks a lot more mysterious, as you can see. Now I haven't got the catch lights in the eyes. I don't really need to have the catch lights all the time. It is a good idea to have it because it gives more like realism to the eyes, as you would see in other portraits, realistic portraits like real models, and you have the catch lights in there. What most photographers love to get those catch lights in there. We could still do that. So I could bring this out a bit more. But then what will happen is, there we go, got the catch light, there we go. And I've got a bit of shade here as well. So let me see if I can do something like minus 75. Does that give me more? Does that lose the catch light? Okay, cool. So I've got a balance there. I've got this area. Let me just go into this mode here. Oops, didn't want to do that. Press the wrong button. Wrong one, this one here, that's what I wanted. It's just so it doesn't flash when I put my mouse over it. It's rather annoying when you try to show people stuff. So here we got catch lights here, really cool. And I still got this darkness here as well. So that's how you can use point lights to kind of do your portraits. So your portraits, if I wanted more, if I wanted to increase the brightness of both the lights, I could increase the ISO. So I can go 200 if I wanted to. Really intensify the lighting there for both of them. 150 looks pretty good to me. And then again, we can play with the white point. So let's see if we change the white point to like a yellow, so we can get yellow tone. How does that look? In this case, probably not. It doesn't really work with the color that she's got of her hair and everything. Not pretty good. Let's try a blue one. So let's try a bluish one. There we go. That's probably too blue actually. I probably want a slight tint here, so I'm going to bring it down. Click OK. A bit more towards the orangey kind of reddy colour. There we go. Being really picky here now, I'm going to actually go a bit higher up here. Okay, so with this render, I would be happy to render this out right now and then after add my post-work effects in Photoshop. So I hope this tutorial has helped you with your lighting wars inside Daz Studio. So remember to use lighting from the side, from behind and from above, and you should be good to go. Now for those of you that made it to the end of the video, thank you very much. It means the world to me and I want to celebrate you. So make sure you leave a hashtag dream in the comments down below to let everybody know that you are serious about reaching your dreams. Having said that, I'll see you in next week's tutorial.